We are here with Empty the Bench, episode number 58. Tom Albano here along with Nick Fodera and Nick Morgasen. Gentlemen, for a second week in a row, no joking around, no big intro, a lot we have to get to, and we don't have a lot of time to do it. So let's start now. Obviously, yes, we are very pissed off about the Yankees coming up very short in the ALDS, but that's not the big story of this week. The big story of this week has been an ever-changing, ever-rapidly evolving situation in the NFL involving COVID-19, most particularly the Tennessee Titans. But although their headline is about the Titans, it is not only about the Titans. There's just been more news developing today. So let's start, I guess, with the beginning, and let us start with the day after Week 4 ended, because remember, we had 2 Week 4 Monday games as a result of COVID cases already. So then we move into week number 5. Well, the Tuesday and Wednesday that are supposed to be leading into week number 5. Titans get another positive, and the Titans-Bills game that's scheduled for tomorrow becomes in dire jeopardy. And actually, all in one morning, a Titans player there's another case in the Titans. This is on Tuesday, I believe. The Patriots have another positive, which turns out to be Stephen Gilmore, their top defensive player. And the Raiders get a positive all in one morning.
Now,
yeah, we're in trouble.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say we're in trouble. And actually, Nick, this is the time where you say what you've been saying all along, which is basically, I told you so.
I told you so. I did. I said this was going. I didn't think it was going to implode in such a spectacular fashion. I thought it was going to be a bottle rocket, not a cake full of explosives in terms of COVID positivity. But, pithiness aside, this is bad.
Yeah, so let's continue on.
This is bad. This is a catastrophe. Seriously.
So let's continue on with the me going through the whole timeline of events here. So then comes later on that day where the NFL and NFLPA basically announce, actually, I believe this is on Wednesday, this is on Wednesday, that the investigation into COVID breakout concerns is pretty much being, it's ongoing. And they were talking about how a focus was unauthorized workouts, like I put there. Basically, Titans players working out away from the facilities, their assigned team of facilities, and after being told, not to do so. And there were multiple reports that the team could have potentially forfeited their game if positive cases continue to rise. Now, the Patriots and Raiders, it turned out, those were their only positives. So the Patriots game against, I believe, Denver is still on, albeit it's been moved to Monday again.
Well, we'll go through the scheduling snafu in a few minutes because there's a lot.
Okay, so you want to focus on Titans right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go to the Titans. Yeah, because I just want to say one thing. I just want to say one thing, which is basically we got to the point where Adam Schefter of ESPN reports that 23 or 24 positive tests come out, and now the NFL has to make a decision. Do we stop? Do we pause? What do we do?
Okay, but let me make another thing here. So it turns out later on that day, this is Paul Kuharsky, who is an NFL reporter, and he comes out with the photographic evidence that it's multiple photos that it turns out, indeed, the Titans players practiced away from team facilities after being told no. And it turns out in a later, the very next day, that it was multiple unauthorized workouts after the league already told them, no, don't do that. And if you look at the photos, you can clearly see a couple of key players, one namely being quarterback Ryan Tannehill, partaking in these unauthorized workouts.
Your own leader is leading the unauthorized workouts, and now look where we've got. And by the way,
did they have masks on in those pictures?
No. No.
Roger Goodell has no effing backbone to stand up and say, "Oh, wait, you guys are breaking the rules." And I said this to you guys, and tell me if you remember me saying this, that he set up all these threats in rules that if unauthorized workouts came through, you might have to forfeit your games. Well, we had 23 tests, and there's no forfeit.
Pro Football Talk reported that some inner circles in the NFL were talking about a potentially historic punishment that would make all of the punishments, as much as you want to call them punishments or not, that the Patriots had gotten over the years. They actually said these words, quote, look like parking tickets. I was thinking bombs. I was thinking forfeiting this game, potentially maybe forfeiting that Steelers game and the Steelers getting their bye back. I was thinking.
Wait a minute. I was thinking maybe sayonara for the season. That's what I would have done.
That would have been I don't know if I would have gone that route, but I would have gone maybe potentially postseason ban.
Well, if you lose a few games right off the bat, you're going to have an issue getting into the playoffs anyway. But in my opinion, which Roger Goodell, as I said, has no backbone and all he cares about is the profit. So he's going to try to get those games back as soon as he possibly can. In my opinion, I would have said, hey, you broke the rules. You have 20 and a historic amount of positive tests. Bye. We don't need you this year.
Here's what I want to know. And I know it's kind of screaming into the void here because I don't think anybody's been able to give me a simple, straight answer as to my question, but I must ask. Simple. Why? Why did you do this? Why did you have an unauthorized workout in the middle of a friggin' pandemic?
I was going to say, I think the blame goes multiple ways. Yes, it's easy to say, it's easy to have Roger Goodell as the punching bag in here. And
you're right. Definitely a well-worn punching bag.
And just say, and you're right. And I'm going to actually quote, someone that I know. There was a whole lot of uncertainty in this situation for a league that had months upon months to create contingency plans. But let's not give all the blame to Goodell here, because if the NFL went to the Titans and told you guys, like dogs, like when you're training a dog, you go, no, and you still do it, and not just do it multiple times, and and you're the cause for a lot of this COVID concerns in the NFL. You don't think that you guys should be punished for this? You guys don't think that they need a historic punishment? And all I hear about is loss of draft picks and fines and everything. Come on, Goodell.
So I have the direct thing here that Commissioner Mr. Two Checks decided to come out and say. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell has warned the league's 32 teams of penalties, including potential forfeits of games for violations of COVID-19 protocols that force changes in the regular season schedule. In a memo sent to the teams Monday after a conference call involving NFL and club executives, Goodell reiterated the need to adhere fully to all of the league's health and safety guidelines. Simply put, compliance is mandatory. Now is the time to recommit ourselves to our protocols and best practices for the duration of the season. Now, call me crazy, which you both have, but why, if there's protocols, why is he not enforcing them? We've seen this happen before. This is like revisionist history here.
Which, again, I strain to not use the term limp-wristed because it's so loaded of a term, but yeah, this is pretty much a very limp-wristed punishment because he doesn't like to punish people. Please, it's money out of his pocket.
He doesn't like to punish people unless he's doing, I don't know.
Unless it's completely arbitrary and or God forbid you light up a joint.
You light up a joint. You wear the wrong socks. There's a little sticker on the side of your helmet.
Girlfriend beat your wife.
I got one more.
People in traffic. You have an assault weapons charge, and you can potentially expose the entire team to a deadly pathogen. Oh, that's fine. No harm, no foul.
Nick, I'm going to add a little more fuel to the fire. Did you see what the NFL came out with for new rules during the game?
Oh, Christ. What now?
The NFL has now given the referees the right to give unsportsmanlike penalties if you're not wearing your mask on the sideline.
Ooh. That sounds on paper like a good idea, but that's the thing about rules. You need to enforce them.
But you know that the players and the coaches and all the team personnel are going to shit on that. So
absolutely, I guarantee you, Sean Payton's going to be wearing it on his head and flipping them off.
Well, he's one of the 3 coaches that got a fine. Him, Pete Carroll, and I think it was Gruden.
They are not taking this seriously. The coaches, the players, the league, the team executives, nobody is taking this seriously. This microcosm is how this country got to where it is right now. Nobody is taking this seriously.
And my whole thing is about the forfeit was you can't punish the Bills for the Titans being stupid. You can't make the Bills play Monday or Tuesday and expect them to play a Thursday game. Now, of course, that Bills-Chiefs game for Thursday.
You punished the Steelers already.
Right. I was going to say, you moved the whole Steelers around. The Ravens had to change their schedule around to accommodate that. You know, how much more can you... Like, I get being flexible, and it's great to see some flexibility, but how much more can you do? Like, you know, this is going to be an ongoing thing. We have said that the league was going to be tested, and here's your test. And so far, you're failing.
And you're failing.
By the way, the point I want to make before I forget is look at Major League Baseball, who finally came to its senses with a bubble. Look at the NBA, who was in a bubble.
The entire time, and the NHL, who was in bubble the entire time.
Not one positive test.
Now, maybe I'm doing math wrong, but I think that when you're in a bubble, it seems like it keeps the positive test down. The NFL, who likes to go against every gamut there is in the book, has now seen what happened.
Well, the NFL really doesn't go for that fancy book learning stuff. The only math they use is 2 + 2 = go to hell. So, really, I don't see why you're applying logic to a system where everybody's just walking into walls and running around like chickens with their heads cut off. I don't really understand what you're trying to accomplish here.
I was being facetious, okay? That's what the NFL...
Well, there is one other way you put math in the NFL, and that's if you take banana and you divide it by spider, and then you take the square root of 2y, and it's 2.
That's right, Mr. Gruden.
What does it equal? It's a damn fine game.
Wait a minute, Nick. We're gonna need sock puppets.
He's got a little graduation cap on.
Wait a minute, Nick. We need sock puppets to describe this whole situation. I
swear. No, you don't need sock puppets. You need mask puppets.
Oh, math puppets. You can switch from sock puppets to marionettes. One divide for me.
All right.
Oh my god.
All right, so I have a question for you guys. All right, so as we move on here, and Nick, this is something you wanted to talk about, because there at one point last week after the we have some breaking news in that yesterday there was a scare in the Jets camp in which a player had a false positive, and now today you have a Bears practice squad player testing positive, a Chiefs coach testing positive. But what I was going to go to is last week, between the time that our last show ended and the NFL kicked off its Sunday, the Saints also had a scare of a false positive. And when that broke, there came news that some coaches in the inner circles in the NFL were looking at potential pauses to the NFL season. So let me ask, I think it's time to ask, it's time for these contingency plans. What should the NFL do if it is forced to pause the season?
You want my real honest opinion? They should pause the season right now. Because, in my opinion, there's way too many positive tests. The Titans issue is a problem. Obviously, they can't follow the rules. They end up in a freaking high school doing voluntary workouts together as a group. And you know what's so funny about this whole thing? And I think Nick could help me describe this a lot better. But they're a bunch of adults who have to be treated like kids and can't follow the rules, right, Nick?
But this is exactly what I'm talking about when I'm saying you're trying to apply logic.
No. Forget the logic. Forget the logic. I'm talking about...
Nobody knows what they're doing. They're all a bunch of temperamental 5-year-olds.
That's my point. That's what I was hoping you would say, actually.
Exactly. They are a bunch of 5-year-olds with full diapers and cranky because they haven't had a nap. What do you think was going to happen? They just have bigger wallets than we do.
See, and this is why, I know the Bills and Titans game is scheduled for Tuesday now, and the Chiefs Bills game is now for week 6. That was supposed to kick off week 6, is now on Saturday. I'll get into that on that rescheduling issue in a little bit when we're doing our predictions for week 5 at the end of this episode. But whether we think, it's time to wait a week, maybe we wait a week, because I'm still concerned, by the way, that Titans game is even going to kick off because, there were no, it's the two complete clear days, which they have. But who's to say that a Titans player isn't going to test positive tomorrow or test positive on Monday or the morning of the game? You don't know. And I don't know. But
when we get to the schedule, you'll notice when we get to the schedule that, let's see, what's the best way to describe it? I'll tease it as schedule roulette. That's what I'll tease it as at this point.
I think that's a very good way to describe it. And I don't know, but in terms of the schedule, if they are forced to take a pause, MLB ended up reducing its season to 60 games. NBA did the 8 regular season with not every NBA team. The NHL just completely ended its season and did the 2014 playoff. What do you think the NFL should do? One popular idea that I have heard in these little reports, in all the Twitter talk, as I call it, is potentially making the NFL regular season 9 weeks and adding one more wild card to the AFC and NFC for this year to do a 16-team tournament.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. It's just there's no way. It just seems like they have no idea how to fix this. And you know what? Neither do I. It's not my job to think of that.
And it's a little,
then I'll be getting paid more.
Right, and that's the thing. The Titans have huge blames in this scenario, but the NFL to not have a contingency plan and just wing it after you saw what happened with MLB when they said we'll just wing it.
Considering the way they met out punishment for this, I don't entirely trust them to come up with a plan for this that actually prioritizes their players' health. I don't have a lot of faith in them to get this right.
All right, but Nick, what do you think? What do you think for the NFL season?
What?
Wait, which one were you talking to?
Yeah, Nick Morgasen. Say what would be your plan? How many if they pause the season, how many regular season weeks should it be? Should we have an expanded playoff? What should the NFL do?
Your guess is as good as mine at this point. I mean, but I don't know. Unfortunately, how many games are we in now? We're in 5 games now. So
this is going to be week 5.
So like they're doing in fantasy sports, you might have to hope to get to 8 games if you can get to half a season, and then maybe you just go from half the season into the playoffs and figure it out at that point. I don't know. And
that's the thing about fantasy, one idea being tossed around is maybe no fantasy playoffs. Like if you're going to do 8, weeks, and then the NFL pauses, and then maybe it does only 1 or 2 more weeks, especially if it's 1, or it goes right into playoffs. Fantasy seasons are going to be pretty much forced to end, and there's just a whole lot of circumstances, and it's kind of a shame because the NFL should have really had its what together.
Well, that's the problem when you have gambling issues. And we talked about this. We didn't have time for it, but Just talking about the fantasy season and the gambling and all the money that's involved and the fantasy situations, like the NFL is so worried about the gambling money that they don't care about anybody else. To be quite honest,
you know what it's worried about? It's worried about advertising revenue and its television contracts. That's why all this part of this is going on.
I mean, if they could have team workouts sponsored by DraftKings, they would.
All right, guys, let's move on now to baseball. It's a little bit of a sour topic, so let's hold off on the AL right now. Let's just briefly look at the National League. So we have our National League Championship Series. It is going to be the Atlanta Braves taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Braves in the NLCS for the first time since 2001, looking to get to its first World Series since 99, its first World Series title since 95. And then the Dodgers, who they've been one of the most dominant teams for the last how many years in the National League, and they just cannot win the big one. So, I mean, the NLDS for both series, complete jokes. The Marlins, I give them the credit. They had all the heart in the world. They put on a hell of a show, but they got beat by the better team, plain and simple. And then the Padres, man, what happened? They got spanked by the Dodgers completely.
Well, you know what? Having Mike Clevenger's arm crap out.
That was a blow. That was a big blow.
Not knowing what you were going to do with your starting rotation, that doesn't help. But boy, can they hit. And believe me, they're going to be back. This is not the last we're going to see of the Padres.
Yeah. Well,
but I do think, in terms of the Dodgers, I do think Mookie's the difference. Mookie's the key difference from last year and 2018 to this year.
Right.
He could be the difference maker in this situation. He could be what gets them over. I don't want to jinx it, but
I was going to say, are the Dodgers' everlasting pitching woes in the playoffs going to creep up to them maybe with the Braves? But I mean, the Braves also, have all the young bats, but the youngness is what cost them last season when they lost to a more experienced team. And I mean, when you're talking about an experienced team, a team that's been to the National League Championship Series, 4 of the last 5 years? Had they not choked last year to the Nationals, it would have been 5 straight.
Yeah. Honestly, I think they'll do better this year. I really, really do.
So let's talk about a prediction. NLCS, Braves and the Dodgers. Who do you have? How many games? Why?
I'm going to take the Dodgers in 6 because I believe that they have deeper pitching than the Braves do. And I do think the Braves lineup is potent, but I think pitching is going to be the difference, although the Braves will score a lot of runs.
I agree. I'm going to also say that the Dodgers will take the NL pennant in 6 games. I think the Dodgers are pretty much, like we said, they are the more powerful unit. They have, I think, better bats in terms of the lineup. I think they have better bats. The pitching aspect, I think, is going to be all right, so Nick Morgasen apparently has had
dealing with some technical difficulties. But while we work that out, we can basically talk. We can talk about the AL matchup.
Okay, so I'm going to agree. Anyways, in the National League, I have the Dodgers taking in 6 games.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the American League. So before we get into our Yankees, just the Astros. I mean, it's said that Nick Morgasen is dropped out here because. Wow, he proved us right. Hang on 1 second. Okay, apparently Nick Morgasen is having too many internet difficulties, and he will not be rejoining us. So it will just be me and Nick here to finish off this episode.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So American League, like I say, yeah, the A's. Oh my God! I mean, that's twice now. 2 playoff series in a row in which the team that's playing the Astros end up, like I guess the word before, choking. Just absolutely poor performance by the A's.
Boy, if that's not a hallmark of a Billy Beane team, oh my God, is this the Astro? Is this the A's year? Is this the A's year? It's going to be the A's year. Up. You go into the playoffs and you go out like a wet fart in church. I mean, this is just. I hate to be cruel to A's fans, but prove me wrong, please. If any year was the time to prove the haters wrong and get some damn vengeance, now was the time.
I mean, I guess losing Matt Chapman, like Nick Morgasen said, was right. It was brutal.
It was too much of a blow.
Although I don't think the pitching matchup, really did better. I think the Astros just simply also had the better pitching. It's as sad as it is to say for about a sub.
Did they? Their bullpen was as leaky as the Queen Mary after a rust bath. Really?
I mean,
say that.
Okay, but
it hurts that they're in the championship series. It hurts.
Yeah, for Yankees fans, this is depressing. You either have to root for the guys that just beat you, it could have nearly spanked you, or you're going to root for a team that all the scandal and not just that. But imagine this. If the Astros make the World Series 29-31, I think this would be the first time
9-31.
a sub 500 team makes the World Series.
Thanks for that, Rob Manfred. Oh
right.
my God!
So I mean,
I should have expected this. I really should have. Because I thought this was going to be the year where karma finally came around. You know what? Karma came around and then kicked me in the ass. So
Nick,
what does that tell you?
Nick, 2020.
I know. It just still hurts. It hurts. I mean, you have Framber Valdez. Who the hell is Framber Valdez? You have Zach Greinke, and that's it. This should not be hard. The Astros lineup is not what it was. When you can't cheat, what the averages I think were 200 or under.
I don't know, but
this should not be difficult. This is okay. I'm getting off track here.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to the Yankees. Unfortunately, so the Yankees losing Game 5 yesterday to the Rays. I mean, it was a hell of a series. I give it that. But man, it's like one of those things where you don't have to. It reminds me of 17, in which you don't have too many expectations, and then all of a sudden, could be big.
And then it was stolen from you because the people you were playing against were cheating.
Okay, but I'm talking about you don't have the expectations, because I said that the Yankees were going to get spanked, and then they managed to win Game 1. Then they tied it up, and it's like, maybe, and then they just ripped your heart out in the last moment.
Why does it always seem to be, and I said this before we went on air, why does it always seem to be Aroldis Chapman giving up the game back-breaking home run with a smirk on his face?
Well, I mean, and it's like when I posted that meme, that was one of several bad decisions that, management made. And honestly, because I'm going to be honest with you, if some of these bad decisions, because I wonder about Game 2. If you either switch the two around, Happer, Garcia, or just let Garcia go solo, does that play out any different?
I really don't know, because I don't know if Davey would have given you what you needed to. I do, however, think that the loss that hurt them the most in the playoff rounds was mostly to do with pitching, because again, you needed another pitcher besides Cole.
Right.
Not having Sevy and not having Paxton hurt you, and not having Tommy Kahnle definitely
hurt you.
Because bringing in Chapman in a tie game, always a bad idea when your closer is not actually in the same.
The bad idea was not using him at all, and then using him on back-to-back days. If you forget, the Cubs tried that in the 2016 World Series, and it nearly backfired on them.
Very nearly did, and he was still throwing harder back then. And he's still throwing 101 miles.
Yeah, he's still throwing.
It's all relative, but still.
And I know the Yankee bats were quiet in Game 5, but remember, it was Cole and Glasnow who were both coming off short rest. And just a little hint here, baseball fans, particularly Yankee fans, I'm going to whisper you something a secret. With great pitching, you can win 2-0. You can win 1-0, 3-1.
Yes, you can. It's almost like magic. Don't you realize that? But what you really need is a Robin who calls Batman. I really don't blame Garrett Cole for this. He gave them literally everything he had.
Right, and it's just like the Astros last year, they just completely wasted it. All of his great performances. And I know everyone's calling for Booney's head, but listen, and I've been one of these guys who have not been a big.
You were the one who was calling for his head.
Yes, I'm not a big Booney supporter, but let's face it, guys, and I said this before, and you can tell after the post game of Game 2 when he was answering questions about Garcia, and Hap and everything, and he didn't look comfortable. This was not a soul. Some of these decisions, I'd say maybe the pinch hitting with Mike Ford yesterday was his decision soul, but something like the Garcia and Hap situation, that was not solely that could not have solely been Booney. That I think was a collective,
decision from analytics driven from Blake and the analytics
Cashman and Cashman.
Although they'll probably never admit to that in public, but Yeah, in terms of breaking down the ALCS, because we can't let this all be sour grapes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take the Rays in 6 because I think that I'm gonna take the Rays in 7 because again, I don't think the Astros are that good. But you know what? I've been wrong about these things, but I still think the Rays are the better.
I kind of agree. I think, unfortunately, if you want me to be brutal, I think for the third year and fourth years, not only do I say we almost had for the third year and fourth year where the Yankees could have lost in the ALCS. Well, I think for the third year and 4 years, the Yankees are probably going to lose to the World Series champions. The Rays just look. This has been the Rays' year so far.
Yeah,
like we have said,
this will be their only year. Mark my words.
I kind of
maybe I'm just a little bitter right now. Could you tell?
Right. But they have Snell and Glass now, and honestly, the hitting, like you said, maybe the Astros are starting to finally turn around. But going off the regular season, I mean, the Astros just didn't have it. But then again, they were only playing the AL West. That was just kind of the problem with judging the regular season this year for these playoff teams, is that they were only playing the people in their geographic
vicinity.
Right. You didn't have these cross things, which maybe if baseball is forced to change up the schedule again next year, maybe needs to go into a little bit of consideration.
Oh, well, yeah. If this schedule wasn't completely borked due to COVID, I mean, the Rays Yankees would be an ALCS matchup, not an ALDS matchup.
I'd say, well, that's a possibility. You don't know, because I'd say now under the 10-team format, it could be an ALDS. But either way, the only last thing I'm going to say about the Yankees is now is time for the test. Now it's time for the true decision making. Now it's time to see if Cashman can still be that GM before. Because if you want a hot take from me, I think he's digressed as a general manager. That doesn't mean he's not
digressed. You mean?
Yeah, I think he has gone down a little. That doesn't mean he's not good. I think he's still a good GM, but he is far from...
you don't find Gio Urshela and Luke Voigt, turn them into superstars and be a bad GM.
Right. I said good GM, but I think there's...
You need to be a great GM to survive in this league.
I'd say...
You're right. I mean, I hope he's wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
I was going to say...
I hope I'm wrong, but...
No, but my whole thing is, you can point to the postseason success, and I was going back and forth with, friends, my dad, and this, because he has had success in the regular season, but, I think part of it is, like we were saying before, is part of a sports crisis, in that does a regular season mean anything? And if baseball is truly going to go with a 16-team format from now on and reduce the regular season schedule, does that, that sounds like it's going to sour on any regular season accomplishments in terms of baseball. I think the Yankees are at an identity crisis, and part of that is because baseball is at an identity crisis.
But those are problems that we ourselves cannot solve. But looks like we'll try, though.
All right. We'll get more into baseball later on in episodes. I'd say by Saturday, we should have enough of the LCS. If they're not over the LCSs, we should still have enough to make World Series predictions either way.
So we'll do that then.
Yeah, but until then, we have week 5 of the NFL season. Let's get into our predictions quickly. Panthers versus Falcons. Who do you have and why?
I'm going to take the Panthers because, Jesus, Dan Quinn, he's just finding more and more
ways to screw up. You're right.
I mean, it's like you're daring him to do it. Hold my beer.
And the Cardinals probably, and you could chalk up last week to the Cardinals just having a bad week, but when the Panthers, beat the Cardinals, that's kind of momentum here. And momentum sometimes is usually your winner in the NFL and out of all sports. So Panthers.
Indeed it is.
Okay. Joe Burrow finally got his first win, so congratulations to him, but he's going to get spanked by the Ravens this week.
Yes, indeed. I'm taking the Ravens.
All right. Jaguars and the Texans. Can the Texans... Oh, by the way, Bill O'Brien finally got fired.
Take your butthole chin and go hunting. Flee before me. And yeah, I think this is a pretty, I don't know. This is kind of a coin flip.
I was gonna say, usually it should be Texans easily, but you don't know. The Jags are what? Are the Jags 2-2?
You know what? Let's look that up. I really don't know.
The Jags could be 2-2, and the Texans for sure are 0-4. They lost to the Vikings last week.
Jaguars are 1-3.
Okay, they're 1-3. Could they move to 2-3 though? I mean,
they still have a better quarterback. The Texans still have a better quarterback, so I'm gonna take the Texans.
I'm gonna take the Texans, but man, if you lose to the fucking Jaguars,
sure, lost cause, man, lost cause.
I mean, there could be a lost cause already because they'll make the playoffs. Basically, they'll have to win like 10 of their next 13 games. I don't know if they had the capability to do that. Okay, Raiders Chiefs. Like we said, despite the positive test, Raiders only had that one on Tuesday. The Chiefs was a coach, so it looks like this game will still play. So, I mean, I think as much as the Raiders have been a surprise this season, the Chiefs are the undefeated team. They are the Super Bowl defending champions. You got to go Chiefs.
It's Patrick Mahomes, for God's sake. I'm picking the Chiefs.
Okay, here's another one. So the Jets had the one scare, so, this matchup's still going to happen. And guess what? Like we said, the Cardinals lost last week to the Panthers. Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, all of them are going to come out in a rage, and the Jets are going to be the victims of that rage.
Yeah, I'm picking the Cardinals. Good news, bad news. Good news, you don't have COVID. Bad news, Kyler Murray wants you dead.
and even worse news, their quarterback, because Sam Darnold is injured, is Joe Flacco.
All right, yeah.
The elite Joe Flacco. All right.
So Eagles-Steelers. Let's think.
Okay, the Battle of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Steelers.
I'm going to stick with the Steelers. I mean, Jesus.
Okay, but I'll ask you this question, because we've been talking, you and I have been talking about it particularly. Do we finally see Jalen Hurts this week?
Yes.
Do you think that Carson Wentz performs that badly?
Yes.
I could see it happening.
Again, I reserve the right to be wrong. Mm-hmm. I often am. I'm just saying.
The Rams survived the Giants last week. I was going to say, we knew that the Rams are going to win, but they only survived. And now they get a treat. They get a Washington football team who has now made Kyle Allen as its quarterback.
Yes, you heard that right, Kyle Allen. You have not traveled back in time to 2014. Kyle Allen,
the guy who tried to lead the Panthers last season after Cam Newton got hurt and basically collapsed on himself.
Like a dying star. Let's see.
Rams.
Yeah, Rams. So what am I even thinking for?
The Rams are going to be 4-1. We did not expect that at the start of the season.
Yeah.
Okay, the Dolphins and the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo is back. I have not heard anything on Raheem Mostert, but apparently he's going to try to be back. There will be no Fitzmagic in this one.
So I am going to take the 49ers because I do think that Jimmy's going to be able to play well.
And Raheem Mostert, I know he's going to be a little banged up, but I mean, come on. The 49ers spanked the Giants and then nearly beat the Eagles with their C team. I think you got to go with the Niners at that rate. Okay, here's an interesting one for you, though. The Colts and the Browns, two other surprising, teams. The Browns are 3-1. 3-1, and they beat the Cowboys last week. So there's a lot of questions surrounding the Cowboys. And meanwhile, you have Indianapolis, who is 3-1 as well. Philip Rivers.
This is an interesting matchup.
Yeah.
Is it foolish? I'll ask you a question. Is it foolish of me to put faith in the Browns?
I mean, I'm always skeptical about the Browns, but you know what? I mean, I just think maybe the Browns have better weapons. Although Browns suffered a big blow last week with Nick Chubb now out for multiple weeks due to an injury. So Kareem Hunt now moves back into the starting role. Deontay Johnson, I believe his name is now going to be taking, third down back, pass catching, all those utility stuff. Is the injury to Nick Chubb going to be too much to the Browns? I think it will be. I'm going to go with the Colts.
I'm going to go with the Browns. I'm going to have faith.
Okay. I'm not blaming you. I would have faith, but Chubb is that's a bit of a blow. Giants and the Cowboys.
And this is the reason why I don't have faith in anybody else.
Although the Cowboys, it's only going to be an easy win because of the Giants. After that loss to the Browns last week, I think I have a lot of questions about what kind of team Dallas really is.
Yeah, you're getting a cupcake. Go ahead, eat the cupcake, and then go away.
Okay, here's your Sunday night matchup. Interesting. The Vikings and the Seahawks. The Vikings have a win under them now, but the Seahawks. I said at the beginning of the season, before the season, I think the Seahawks could be a team to watch out for in the NFC, that they could be the number one. I don't know if they'll go all the way to the Super Bowl, but with that momentum, I got to go with the Seahawks right there.
I am too, because,
Russell Wilson's looking phenomenal.
Russell Wilson is going to turn Kirk into a fine paste.
Russell Wilson right now could, if the season was paused and just ended after 4 weeks of the regular season, Russell Wilson would be your MVP.
Yes, he would.
Okay, Monday evening / late afternoon matchup. The Denver Broncos and the New England Patriots. The Patriots did not look good under Brian Hoyer last week. Jared Stidham didn't even look good for the time that he had come in there. So the Broncos, without Drew Lock, still might get a win on this one. I think Melvin Gordon would probably be the difference maker.
I'm inclined to agree.
Plus, the Patriots now just lost their best defensive player in Stephen Gilmore due to COVID.
So I'm going to eat my words, but I'm taking the Broncos.
I probably will too. Monday night matchup, the Chargers and the Saints. You got another young versus old for Mr. Herbert. You got Herbert against Drew Brees.
And way to give the kid a test. Good. Congratulations. Now swim. So, experience wins out. I'm taking the Saints.
I am also going to take the Saints, but Herbert has looked great in these last 3 weeks. The second week was a little but he's looked fine so far. I definitely think in terms of rookie of the year, caliber players, I think obviously CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire of the Chiefs, is the guy right now. But Justin Herbert, I think he needs to keep an eye on in case Helaire goes down with an injury or anything like that. Tuesday, Bills and Titans.
Okay, we don't know if this game is actually going to happen, so let's make the prediction on the assumption that it does.
Okay, but still, the Titans have lost too many players to COVID.
Yes, on the assumption that it does, we're taking the Bills.
Josh Allen is the absolute man right now. Could you imagine that 2018 draft? You had Baker, you had I'd say I don't know if I'm going to count Lamar because Lamar wasn't taken until the final pick of that first round, but the big top 10, you had Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold, and Baker Mayfield. And everybody gave Josh Allen so much crap. And right now, of those four, he's the best.
He's laughing all the way to the bank. So, yeah, I'm still taking the Bills.
And that's if this game happens. Remember,
if game happens.
If there is another positive test between now and Tuesday, who knows, maybe a forfeit actually does happen. So now if that Tuesday matchup happens, week 6, the first game of week 6 is going to be on Saturday. I think this was, if it loses, Thursday, I think it would have been a bigger blow if the second presidential debate was still going on. If there was, baseball. I know Bellator has a card on that day, which I'm probably going to be working. But Chiefs and Bills, a super matchup. Let's say, based on our predictions for this week, this would be undefeated versus undefeated.
And this would be a definitely interesting prospect. But if it happens, I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
I still
think experience wins out.
Definitely. All right. It was a long episode, but that's finally going to do it for us. We'll try to get Nick Morgasen back next time for... let's hope his internet...
difficulties, folks. There's nothing we could do about it, but... That's all right.
Technological differences.
Yeah, technological differences.
All right. So make sure to follow us at ETB Sports on Twitter for news updates. Make sure to like us here on Facebook and give us a follow. Hit that follow button so you're the first to know when we're going live with stuff. Until next time, Nick Fodera and the absent Nick Morgasen, I'm Tom Albano. We'll see you next week. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody!